Chapter 1. The battle you wake up to every morning before you even leave your bed. The battle begins, the enemies are invisible, distraction, anxiety, indecision, and fear, but they strike faster than any sword. Your phone lights up with demands, your mind begins to race with unfinished goals, half-built dreams, and the constant hum of doubt. You move through the day like a soldier without a map, fighting everything yet winning nothing. You tell yourself you're busy, but deep down, you know you're only scattered. The truth is, most people are at war every day, but have never learned how to fight. Centuries ago, Musashi fought over 60 duels, and he survived them all. But his greatest battles were not against men, they were against hesitation, chaos, and emotion. He learned that combat is not about speed or strength, it is about clarity, timing, adaptability, and stillness. He called it strategy. Not just the art of war, but the way of life itself. Musashi believed that once you master strategy, every area of life becomes a battlefield you can command: your work, your relationships, your mind. Those who fail to master strategy remain trapped in confusion forever, striking wildly without direction. If you feel lost, unfocused, or stuck in endless struggle, then you're fighting without strategy. You can't win that way. And if you keep going like this, you'll spend your life exhausted, mistaking motion for mastery. But Musashi left a way out, a code of 5 timeless strategies that can transform the way you think, act, and live. These lessons are not about the sword. They are about perception, timing, and the calm courage to act with precision when the world spins around you. Chapter 2. The Invitation. Before we begin, take a breath. This video isn't meant to motivate you for 10 minutes and then fade away. It's meant to change how you see yourself and how you move through life. If you've ever looked at your habits, your goals, your lack of focus, and thought, why can't I stay consistent? Why do I lose control when it matters most? Then stay until the end. Musashi's 5 strategies are not abstract ideas. They are living principles that can reshape your discipline, your focus, and your peace of mind. If you pay attention, if you apply what you learn here, you'll start to feel the same stillness that made him undefeatable. Subscribe if you want to walk this path with us, not as a follower, but as a warrior in training. This channel is a dojo for the mind. Each video is a lesson, each week a strike in your ongoing battle for mastery. So stay, listen carefully, and remember, this path will not make life easier, it will make you stronger. Chapter 3. The Boy Who Wanted to Win. In a time when Japan was divided by war, there lived a young apprentice named Daigo. He came from a small village surrounded by fields of mist and the sound of distant swords. From a young age, he dreamed of becoming the greatest swordsman alive. He trained tirelessly, copying the styles of every warrior he could find. But every time he thought he had improved, someone stronger would appear. Each defeat cut deeper than the blade that caused it. When Daigo heard of Musashi, the undefeated swordsman who wandered without school or master, he swore he would find him. It was said that Musashi had not only mastered the sword but had mastered himself, that he could see an opponent's intention before they even moved. Some called him a demon, others a philosopher, but all agreed that he was unstoppable after weeks of travel. Daigo found him living alone near a quiet river, dressed not like a warrior, but like a peasant. He was carving wood with a small blade, his eyes half closed, breathing steady. There was no sign of violence in him, only a deep, disarming calm. Daigo bowed low and said, "Master Musashi, I've come to learn how to win every battle." Musashi did not look up. "Win every battle?" He said softly, "You haven't even learned how to see one," confused. Daigo replied, "I've trained for years, I can fight, I just want to know the best technique." Musashi smiled faintly. Technique? A man can have 1,000 techniques and still lose, because when the moment comes, he does not understand the battle before him. That night, Daigo stayed near the master's hut, waiting for some grand lesson or secret form, but Musashi gave him none. At dawn, he simply said, "Follow me." Chapter 4. The Restless Apprentice. The days that followed were not what Daigo expected. There were no lessons about swordplay, no sparring, no clever maneuvers. Instead, Musashi made him carry water, sweep the ground, and sit for hours in silence by the river. At first, Daigo did as he was told, but soon his patience broke. "I came here to learn to fight," he said, "not to do chores." Musashi looked at him without anger. And yet you cannot even control your own impatience, he said. You swing your sword the way you live your life without direction, Daigo flushed with anger. Then show me the right direction. Musashi stood, picked up a stick from the ground, and faced him. Attack me, he said. Finally, Daigo thought, a real test. He drew his sword and charged, shouting, Hi! His swing was strong and fast, but before he even finished the motion, Musashi moved. It wasn't speed, his movement was simple, fluid, almost invisible. Daigo's blade sliced air. The next moment, his wrist was struck by Musashi's stick, sending his sword spinning into the dirt. Again, Musashi said. Daigo lunged again. Musashi sidestepped effortlessly, striking his shoulder before Daigo could react. The apprentice fell to his knees, panting, humiliated. Musashi lowered his stick and said quietly, You are strong but blind. You look at the sword, not at me. You think about striking instead of seeing. You move before you understand. That is why you lose. Daigo stared at the ground, his pride bleeding faster than his pain. Musashi continued, Most men lose not because they lack skill, but because their mind is already defeated before the fight begins. To win once means nothing. To know why you win, that is mastery. Chapter 5, the beginning of strategy. From that day, Musashi began to teach Daigo the art of true strategy. Technique is small, he said, but perception is vast. You can train your body for 1,000 days, but if your mind remains clouded, you will still lose. They trained not with swords, but with awareness. Musashi would ask questions while they walked through the forest. When the wind moves, do you feel its direction or hear its sound first? When you look at a man, do you see his stance or his eyes? Daigo tried to answer but rarely knew what Musashi meant. One evening they sat by the fire, and the master finally said, There are 5 strategies that govern all combat, but they are not limited to battle. They apply to every conflict within and without. If you learn them, you will stop losing in life, not just in duels. Daigo listened closely. The first, Musashi said, is the strategy of observation. The warrior sees what is, not what he wants to see. Most men fight illusions, their hopes, their fears, their assumptions, but truth is silent. And only those who can observe without emotion can act without error. Daigo nodded, remembering how often he had attacked too soon. Driven by excitement or pride, Musashi continued, The second is the strategy of timing. Even a perfect strike fails if delivered at the wrong moment. Patience is the invisible weapon. When your rhythm aligns with the world, you win without struggle. Daigo thought about his impulsiveness, the way he rushed decisions both in battle and in life. The third, Musashi said, is the strategy of adaptability. Water has no form, it wins by becoming what it meets. The warrior must be like water, flowing around obstacles, never rigid, never proud. Daigo felt a strange calm as he listened. These were not just tactics, they were truths about existence itself. Musashi looked at him and said, In time, you will learn 2 more: distance and decisiveness, but for now, learn to see before you move. When your eyes and your heart are clear, you will discover that most battles are won before they begin. The wind whispered through the bamboo. Daigo bowed deeply, realizing that the road to mastery was far longer than he had imagined, but for the first time, it did not scare him. It felt real. He had taken his first step on the path. Chapter 6, the strategy of observation. For days, Musashi spoke little. He led Daigo through the quiet forests, letting the rhythm of wind and footsteps replace instruction. One morning, as sunlight spilled through the trees, Musashi stopped beside a fallen branch and asked, What do you see? Daigo looked, a branch broken by the storm. Musashi shook his head. Look again, see the details. Which way did it fall? Which part splintered first? What does it say about the wind? Daigo crouched, confused, but studied the wood more carefully. He saw the sharp edge of the break and the moss peeled away on one side. The wind must have come from the north. Musashi nodded. That is observation. Most men glance at the world but never see it. They think they understand life, but they are blind to its patterns. The warrior learns to read reality without judgment. As the days passed, Daigo learned to observe without naming. He noticed the rhythm of rain on leaves, the breath between Musashi's movements, the smallest tremors in his own heartbeat. His awareness widened. When he practiced, he began to sense openings before they appeared. It was as if time had slowed. One evening, Musashi said, Observation sharpens intuition. Your enemies reveal themselves before they attack. People reveal their motives before they speak. If you look deeply, nothing surprises you. Life becomes predictable not because the world is slow, but because your mind has become still. Centuries later, scientists at Kyoto University would prove that trained attention increases reaction speed by improving the brain's ability to predict motion. Musashi had understood this centuries earlier. Observation is the art of seeing before seeing. Musashi added quietly, "The same applies to your life. Look honestly at your own behavior. Where are you weak? Where are you pretending? You cannot change what you refuse to observe." Chapter 7. The Strategy of Timing. Time in the dojo slowed into repetition. Weeks passed in silence when Musashi finally spoke again. His words came like a blade drawn after long stillness. "You strike too soon," he said. "Your eyes are sharp, but your patience is dull." He asked Daigo to watch the water wheel beside the hut. The wooden paddles dipped into the stream and turned slowly, steadily, forever. "Do you see how it moves?" Musashi asked. "It never forces the river, it waits for the water to come to it." Daigo watched. The wheel did not resist, yet its motion was constant. "Timing," Musashi said, "is to move with the world, not against it. A fool strikes when he feels ready. A master strikes when the world is ready." They began a new training. Musashi would raise a hand, and Daigo was to strike only when he felt the right moment. Not when ordered. At first he failed too early, too late, always anticipating. But over time, he stopped guessing. He began to feel rhythm instead of measuring it. The world seemed to breathe with him. "The right action at the wrong time is failure," Musashi said. "Even courage without timing becomes recklessness. Life itself is rhythm conversation. Opportunity, emotion, learn its tempo, and you will move like a shadow through chaos." This lesson extended beyond combat. Musashi taught that in every pursuit, negotiation, art, even love, there is a moment when the universe opens like a gate. Those who have trained their patience can step through it. Those who rush will find only resistance. Modern neuroscience supports this too. Researchers studying elite athletes at MIT found that their brains anticipate the right moment through pattern recognition. Not conscious thought, they wait without waiting, alert but calm. Musashi had already mastered this mental precision long before science named it. Chapter 8. The Strategy of Adaptability. When spring came, the river swelled with melting snow. The current shifted its path, cutting new channels through the rocks. Musashi watched it for a while and said, "Now you will learn from the water." Daigo frowned. "The water?" "Yes," Musashi said. "It adapts, it bends, twists, and yields, yet nothing can stop it. You have learned to observe and to wait, but still you are rigid. When life changes, you resist. When your plans fail, you grow angry. The warrior must be fluid." They sparred on the banks of the river. Each time Musashi changed his rhythm, Daigo tried to match it with force. He grew tired quickly. "You are trying to control the battle," Musashi said. "Instead, move within it. Stop defending what no longer exists." Daigo began to flow, letting go of fixed form. When Musashi fainted, he didn't fight the motion, he redirected it. Soon their fight looked more like a dance than a duel. When it ended, Musashi smiled. "Now you understand. Victory is not domination, it is alignment." Adaptability, Musashi explained, was not weakness but intelligence. "The bamboo bends in the storm, the oak breaks," he said. "The mind must be like bamboo." Later, by the fire, Musashi continued. "People suffer because they resist change. They cling to identity, comfort, and certainty. But a warrior does not belong to any form. He becomes whatever the battle requires. Today you may need silence, tomorrow, action, the next day, surrender. All are victories if done consciously. In modern terms, psychologists call this cognitive flexibility. Those who adapt quickly to new situations outperform those who rely on rigid habits. Musashi's adaptability made him invincible not because he was perfect, but because he was never predictable. "The water wins," he said, "because it never insists on being anything else." Chapter 9. The Strategy of Inner Distance. Musashi's next lesson came not through instruction but through provocation. One morning, while Daigo was training, the master hurled a stick that narrowly missed his head. "Why did you flinch?" Musashi asked. "I thought you were attacking me." Daigo shouted, startled. Musashi's gaze was calm, and in that thought you lost. You let the mind collapse into emotion, even in close battle. The warrior's spirit must stay far. This is the strategy of inner distance. He explained that physical distance means nothing if the mind is tangled in fear or anger. A warrior can stand face to face with danger and remain untouched internally. When the enemy moves close, most men shrink, he said. Their vision narrows, their heart panics. But when the spirit remains distant, the mind sees clearly. Emotion clouds the blade more than blood ever will. To train this, Musashi had Daigo fight blindfolded. At first, every sound made him flinch, every touch made him tense. But as days passed, his breathing slowed, his movements became precise, free of panic. He began to trust sensation instead of imagination. This is distance, Musashi said. To be present but unbound. To see everything but attached to nothing. The lesson reached beyond combat. In life, inner distance means keeping perspective when problems surround you. It's the ability to see your thoughts, emotions, and fears from afar, like watching waves crash without drowning in them. A neuroscientist at Stanford once described this as metacognition, the mind's capacity to observe itself. When you can step back from your emotions, your brain activates its rational circuits instead of reactive ones. In simple terms, awareness becomes your shield. Musashi had taught this centuries before, to keep the mind far even when the sword is near. Chapter 10. The Strategy of Decisive Action. Summer heat settled over the valley. One morning, Musashi handed Daigo a practice sword and said, "Today you will learn the fifth strategy, decisive action." They faced each other in the clearing. Musashi stood motionless, eyes half closed. Daigo waited for a sign, a shift, any hint of movement. None came. Time stretched, sweat gathered on his palms. Suddenly, Musashi struck. The blow stopped an inch from Daigo's neck. "Do you see?" he asked. "When the moment arrives, hesitation is death." Musashi stepped back and continued, "The world belongs to those who act. You can train, prepare, and analyze forever, but nothing changes until you move. Decisive action means total commitment, no doubt, no second-guessing. Once the strike begins, it must be absolute." They practiced again and again. Not speed, but clarity. Daigo learned to strike only when his heart was silent. "Action must come from stillness," Musashi said. "Most people act from panic, not precision. They react instead of deciding. The warrior does not wait for courage. He moves. And courage follows." That evening, Musashi spoke softly as they watched the sunset. "In life too, you must strike. When opportunity comes, do not ask if you are ready. Read the rhythm, adapt, keep your distance, and then act without hesitation. The moment you decide fully, the universe aligns behind you." Modern behavioral scientists echo this wisdom. Research at Harvard shows that decisive thinkers conserve energy and avoid the mental fatigue that comes from constant doubt. Once a decision is made, the brain relaxes and focuses. Musashi's clarity in battle came from this mental economy. He cut away uncertainty before cutting his enemy. Daigo bowed deeply. He understood now that every strike was a mirror of life. To see clearly, to wait patiently, to flow, to stay calm, and finally, to act without fear. Chapter 11. The Clear Strike. Autumn arrived, and with it, Daigo's final test. Musashi arranged for him to duel another swordsman who had once trained under the same roof. The man was fierce, proud, and skilled, known for ending fights quickly when the duel began. Daigo remembered Musashi's 5 strategies. He observed his opponent's stance, the subtle twitch of his shoulder. He felt the rhythm of wind and heartbeat, waiting for the moment. When the strike came, he did not retreat. He moved like water, deflecting and flowing into an opening. One clean motion, no force wasted. The other man's sword flew from his hands. The duel ended before most could blink. Musashi nodded once. "Now you fight with understanding," he said. Daigo felt no pride, only quiet awareness. The victory was not against his opponent, but against the chaos that had once ruled him. For the first time, his sword and his spirit were one. Chapter 12. The Warrior Beyond the Sword. After the duel, Daigo expected Musashi to praise him, to speak of victory, perhaps even of mastery, but the master simply walked away, silent. Days passed. The morning fog thickened over the river until it felt as though the world itself had gone quiet. Finally, Musashi called for him. "You have learned to win," Musashi said, "but you have not yet learned to live." Daigo frowned. "How can that be, master?" I have followed your teachings. I have mastered observation, timing, adaptability, distance, and decisive action. Musashi smiled faintly. Yes, but now you must learn to use them without the sword. If you still need the blade to feel powerful, you have not yet conquered yourself. He pointed toward the horizon where farmers worked in the fields. Those men fight their own battles every day. The plow is their sword, the soil their battlefield. The strategies do not belong to me, they belong to life itself. The true warrior uses them not only to defeat others but to face his own weakness. For days after, Musashi set Daigo to ordinary tasks, helping villagers repair roofs, fetch water, chop wood. At first, Daigo felt insulted, but soon he began to recognize the same rhythms in the work as in combat. Observation was needed to see which tools worked best. Timing mattered when lifting, carrying, or resting. Adaptability came with changing conditions. Distance was self-control when dealing with frustration, and decisive action turned laziness into momentum. The lessons had not changed, only the battlefield had. One night, while they ate quietly, Musashi said, "Most people spend their lives trying to control others, yet cannot control themselves for even 1 hour. The strategies you have learned are useless if you do not apply them inwardly. There is no difference between striking with the sword and controlling your own mind. Both require awareness, patience, and absolute presence." Daigo nodded. "I understand now. Every act is training." Musashi's eyes softened. "Good. Because life itself will test you far more than any duel. Remember, when you lose focus, the enemy is already within." Chapter 13. The Everyday Battlefield. You may never stand in a duel, but every day you enter battle, the enemies just wear different faces. The opponent is distraction, pulling your attention into 1,000 directions. The opponent is fear whispering that you're not ready. The opponent is weakness, the temptation to quit when the world tests you. Musashi's 5 strategies were never about combat. They were about survival in the chaos of living. In your work, you need observation to see truth instead of reacting to emotion. You need timing to know when to speak and when to wait. You need adaptability when your plans collapse, distance when people provoke you, and decisiveness when opportunity knocks but fear says no. In a digital world full of noise, these ancient strategies matter more than ever. Your phone is your battlefield, your notifications are arrows, your peace of mind the target. Observation helps you recognize what truly matters. Timing reminds you to pause before reacting. Adaptability keeps you from breaking under pressure. Distance protects you from emotional manipulation. And decisiveness ensures your energy goes where it belongs. Musashi's way is not about violence, it's about mastery of rhythm when you live in rhythm. Every obstacle becomes movement. Every setback becomes adjustment. You don't fight against life. You move within it. The wise warrior does not conquer chaos, he uses it. Chapter 14. The Science of the Warrior Mind. Modern science is finally proving what Musashi lived. At Kyoto University, researchers studying elite athletes found that the brain enters a state of deep synchronization when skill and attention merge. They call it flow, the modern name for Musashi's no mind. During this state, activity in the prefrontal cortex slows down. Silencing self-doubt and distraction, action and awareness become one. Neuroscientists at Harvard discovered that individuals who practice mindfulness observation without judgment develop thicker neural pathways in the regions responsible for focus and emotional control. Musashi's inner distance was not mystical. It was neurological clarity. The same calm that made him unshakable in duels can make you unshakable under pressure, even in modern combat training. Soldiers are taught to move through fear, not around it. A U.S. Army psychologist once said that courage is not the absence of fear, but the management of it. Musashi called this Futashin, the immovable spirit. He discovered centuries ago what neuroscience now confirms. Fear fades when attention deepens. When your mind is trained in awareness, your decisions sharpen, your emotions balance, and your performance rises, whether you're lifting weights, leading a business, or building a family. The same biology governs your mastery. The warrior's wisdom is timeless because it is wired into your human nature. Chapter 15. The 5 Drills for Modern Life. Musashi's 5 strategies can become your daily training, small rituals that forge mental precision. First, the observation drill. Each morning, spend 3 minutes in silence. Observe your surroundings, your thoughts, your breathing, notice what pulls your attention, and let it go. This trains you to see without reacting. The day that begins in awareness rarely ends in chaos. Second, the timing drill. Before responding to any conflict, an email, a message, an argument, wait 10 seconds. Use those seconds to breathe. This tiny pause separates instinct from intention. Timing isn't about delay. It's about discipline in motion. Third, the adaptability drill. Once a week, deliberately change one routine. Walk a new path, use your opposite hand, or start your day differently. Teach your brain flexibility. The mind that adapts never panics. Fourth, the distance drill. Each night, reflect on one emotional moment from the day. Ask yourself, did I react or respond? This trains you to step back from emotion before it becomes weakness. Fifth, the decisive action drill. Every day, finish one thing completely. It can be a task, a workout, a conversation. Completion trains commitment. Musashi said, when you decide to cut, there should be no second strike. The modern version of that is, when you choose, follow through, do these 5 daily, and you'll begin to notice the transformation. You'll move slower, but accomplish more. You'll stop chasing and start directing. You'll stop reacting to life and start shaping it. Chapter 16, The False Warrior. Let's be honest, you want mastery, but you don't want repetition. You want transformation, but not the grind. You crave glory, not the discipline that earns it. You start new habits every week and abandon them before they bear fruit. You tell yourself you're searching for passion, when in truth you're avoiding boredom. Musashi would call this weakness. He said, the way is in training. That means the path itself, not the outcome, is the reward. Modern life has tricked you into believing that comfort equals happiness. But comfort only softens the blade of your spirit. Every time you choose ease over effort, you dull your edge, you scroll for hours, telling yourself you're researching. You postpone your goals in the name of perfection. You want mastery without humility, strength without silence. But the warrior's path is repetition. It is patience. It is the humility to sweep floors before swinging swords. When Musashi trained, he fought over 60 duels. He carved his own wooden swords because he believed skill was earned, not bought. If he lived today, he would tell you to stop seeking shortcuts and start showing up. Discipline is not motivation, it's devotion. You may fail, you may stumble, but every day you return to the practice, you win. The difference between the master and the amateur is not talent, it's endurance. Chapter 17, The Final Transformation. Seasons passed. Daigo's training was complete. He no longer sought perfection. He sought balance. When he held the sword, it was no longer heavy. When he worked, no movement was wasted. When he spoke, no word was careless. On the final day, Musashi met him at sunrise by the river where they had first trained. Do you still wish to win? He asked. Daigo smiled. No, master, I only wish to see clearly. Musashi nodded. Then you have won, because to see clearly is to live fully. The two men bowed. The river shimmered with light. Musashi turned away, walking toward the mountains. Remember, he said softly, victory is not defeating others. It is mastering yourself until nothing within can be defeated. Daigo watched him disappear into the mist, realizing that the lessons were never about war, they were about peace. Every battle had been a mirror, every strike a reflection of his own mind. The true warrior fights only to awaken. Chapter 18, The Path Continues. You stand now where Daigo once stood, between the person you are and the person you could become. The 5 strategies are not ancient artifacts. They are tools for this moment. When you apply them, you will notice the world slow down. You will act with intent. You will stop wasting energy on noise. Observation will sharpen your vision. Timing will align you with opportunity. Adaptability will free you from fear. Distance will guard your peace. Decisive action will turn dreams into momentum. But this path requires practice. It demands that you show up daily. Even when no one watches, even when it feels pointless, the samurai's strength was built not in battle, but in the quiet repetition before it. Your mastery will be built the same way, through patience, awareness, and unshakable commitment. If you felt something awaken within you while listening, don't let it fade. Subscribe, stay, and walk this path with us. This is not entertainment. This is training for the spirit. Each lesson we share is another strike on the forge of your mind. The sword may have changed, but the war remains. You no longer fight enemies of steel, you fight enemies of attention, weakness, and doubt. But like Musashi, you can become undefeated. not because the world bends to you, but because your spirit no longer breaks. Walk the path, train the mind, strike with purpose. And when the storms of life rise around you, remember Musashi's final truth: there is nothing outside yourself that can ever make you stronger. Better or richer, everything is within, everything. Now rise, warrior, the battle begins again tomorrow.